Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Canadian Medical Isotope uh, Ecosystem Information Session. Thank you for joining us online. We are your co-leads. My name is Catherine Hayashi. I am President and CEO of Triumph Innovations. Triumph Innovations is the commercialization arm for Triumph, Canada's Particle Accelerator Centre. We're located in Vancouver, British Columbia, on the University of British Columbia campus, and we're really proud to be co-leads on this initiative. And I'd like to introduce my co-lead, Owen Roberts.
Thank you, Catherine. I'm Owen Roberts. I'm the CEO of the Center for Probe Development and Commercialization. CPDC has been around since 2008. We were established out of McMaster University with a Center of Excellence grant, and we have been a developer of radiopharmaceutical companies in Canada for the last 16 years.
So we'd like to tell you a little bit about the CMIE, that's our acronym today, and we're going to tell you a little bit about some of the programs that we have, and we'll also be sharing some details about a new fund that's available that we were opening a call for proposals in December. So about the CMIE, the Canadian Medical Isotope Ecosystem represents a dynamic nationwide community that's dedicated to strengthening the Canadian medical isotope sector by providing resources to connect organizations, create new jobs, and through our development fund, the CMIEDF, we're going to fund the next generation of medical isotope programs. So we're led by Triumph Innovations and the Center for Probe Development and Commercializations, and we're backed by the Government of Canada's Strategic Innovation Fund. Our initiative is an $80 million initiative that aims to unite a diverse array of stakeholders in the medical isotope sector and to accelerate technology development and commercialization.
So the grant from the Government of Canada as part of the Strategic Innovation Fund Stream 5 was first started, the application in 2019-2020, and was finally granted in June of 2023 of this year. It was led by some of the largest radiopharmaceutical groups and nuclear companies across Canada. We just recently, in June of this year, had our contribution agreement signed to provide a $35 million matching funding, which will enhance collaborations across Canada to accelerate the commercialization of radiopharmaceutical technology. We, as Catherine just mentioned, we also have, out of our $30 million projects, we also have $5 million for a development fund, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on, and we'll give you an opportunity to send in any questions, which we'll hope we'll be able to answer at the end of the presentation.
So just a little bit about our current projects. Our application did include 5 projects that have already been vetted and are underway. We have a commercial supply of actinium-225 project. That is a project run by Triumph and CNL, our compadres at Chalk River. We also have a project that is a really exciting project from Bruce Power, partnering with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation to produce lutetium-177 at the Bruce Power reactor site. There's also another project to address supply chain challenges of gallium-68, and that is a project between BWXT and Triumph. Our 4th project is expanding medical isotope research, development, and production capabilities at McMaster, Canada's nuclear university. The 5th project is a clinical and preclinical support project for developing new radiopharmaceuticals led by CPDC.
Thank you. And so we're very fortunate with all the partners who have started off in the initiative. They've joined the CMIE's executive committee, and we're very lucky to be joined by Peter McDermott from Bruce Power, Bill Riddick from BWXT, Karen Stevenson from McMaster University, and Paul Shaver, who's joining us from Triumph. And they are important members of our executive committee and provide a lot of the leadership to the CMIE.
So just a reminder, our new website is up and running. It's can be easily found at cme.ca. And this is the portal that we are going to be using to post all of our information, a place where you can go to get the information you need to find out about the Development Fund, as well as events and other activities and services that we're going to be providing to the community. So please bookmark that site, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what you can find on that site and walk you through some of it.
So some of the things that we have here, please come on a regular basis. We're going to be posting things about our community, ongoing events, symposiums, conferences, other events that we'd encourage people who have an interest in radiopharmaceuticals, be they companies, be they academic, be they associations. Please come and check this site on a regular basis and join our community so you can get on our email list so we can keep you abreast of everything that's going on, including updates upon our development fund.
So we're also planning a lot of outreach activities, and we would love to hear from all of you out there if you've got suggestions for activities and groups that we should connect with. We're going to be exploring partnerships that leverage the strength and reach of existing networks already established in Canada, and we're going to be providing funding assistance for collaboration events, networking events, workshops. So potential partners that we see out there in the ecosystem: Canadian Nuclear Isotope Council, who we have partnered with to bring you the website and this event today, Canadian Nuclear Medicine Association, Canadian Nuclear Association, the Canadian Nuclear Society, and of course, our whole spectrum of Canadian research hospitals and universities. We have a really amazing medical isotope community across Canada, and we really want to bring people together for collaboration to help advance and accelerate the commercialization of new medical isotope technologies.
And for many people, this will be of great interest to you out there. We're also going to include a job board listing. So the members of the CMIE can post jobs here. And we encourage people to come back and look for some of the very interesting and exciting jobs that we plan to have up here. And they'll be both useful for the people looking for jobs and also for those who are trying to recruit in this very competitive space.
So now a little bit about our call for proposals. The call for proposals will feature our CMIE-DF Development Fund. We're offering financial support to innovative developers, academic institutions in Canada, especially in the field of radiopharmaceuticals and medical isotope technologies. This funding is designed to expedite the progress of early stage programs, thereby creating a pipeline for development and eventual commercialization. We have $5 million to dedicate to advancing medical isotope technologies within Canada. Individual project support will range from $50,000 to $500,000. The Development Fund will provide a reimbursement of up to 50% of eligible project costs, when at least 50% of the project is funded by non-governmental funds. Additionally, each project must actively involve at least one small to medium enterprise in Canada. For radiopharmaceutical programs, we are seeking programs spanning from preclinical proof of concept plans all the way to early stage clinical trials and progressing into the pre-commercialization stage. Just a bit of a logo, and we are planning our call for proposals to open on December the 15th of this year, December 15th, 2023, with the first close on January the 31st, 2024. So it will be quite quick. We really want to get this program going, and we really want to get the funds deployed to advance some of your projects. So we've got a few questions. We thought that it would be more entertaining if I asked Owen some of the questions.
And I'll see what I can come up with as an answer.
And if you have questions online, please type them into the chat, and then we will answer them, collect them, and answer them at the end. So Owen, can you tell us?
I'll try my best.
What kind of projects we're looking
Sure.
for?
So the projects that we're looking for need to be something with direct commercialization prospects for medical isotope related technologies, which is actually quite a broad spectrum of possibilities. That would include diagnostics, therapeutics, equipment, software, and that including AI technologies, and also other nuclear isotope production and manufacturing techniques. So a broad spectrum across the medical isotope spectrum.
Great. And then what kind of information is going to be required in the application?
Well, I figured people might ask that question because what do you have to do to apply? Well, as Catherine mentioned, our first call for applications is going to open December 15th. And it's going to be a two-step process. When you come to our website after December 15th, you'll see a short PowerPoint presentation that we're going to ask you to complete. This first step will ask you to include things like the target product profile. What is it that this technology you have or this product idea you have, what is it going to look like at the end of the day when you come to commercialize it? Similarly, if you're looking to improve upon a process for isotope production, what will that look like at the end of it? A description of how the funded project that we're going to support, how does that fit in the process of going from where you are to where you want to be when this is commercialized? A few other things that we're going to have to request of you: a Gantt chart to show what's the project work that's going to be done during the period, the budget for that period. We need a description of the intellectual property that you have, what intellectual property you're planning to create, and how you might protect that going forward. What's your team look like? That's one of the most important things when anytime we make an investment is what is the team of the people behind this program? And looking ahead, again, this is a commercialization program. How will your product fit into the commercialization landscape? What is its position? What's its competitive advantage? You know, you have to put out those initial ideas. And what is your expected commercialization? What would it be at the end of the day, and where will it fit in? Obviously, you won't have answers for all these things, but we should start off any application with a well-defined path to where you want to go. There will be a second step to it after we receive on January 31st, after we receive in these PowerPoint presentations. We're going to, with our committee, we'll review the eligible projects that are submitted, and we'll rank them, and we'll move them forward, and we'll ask the programs and projects that we want to come in and spend a 1-hour presentation to the committee. This is very similar to the process that you'd go through if you were approaching a VC and looking for investment into your project. A quick 15-minute PowerPoint presentation, and if accepted, you follow up with a 1-hour presentation to the committee to try and get the funding. We expect to close by March 31st and issue letters of commitment from the development fund by January 31st of 2020. Oh, sorry, by March 31st
Yes.
of 2024. So a fairly quick turnaround, but we want to get these projects up and running as quickly as possible. Go ahead.
So who will make the project selection and funding decisions?
Oh, yeah, thanks. So as you saw, we have the CMIE Executive Committee, and the Executive Committee is pulling together a subcommittee which will look at the various eligible projects, and we're reaching out to experienced people in the radiopharmaceutical industry and academia to assist us with these evaluations. And they will be ranked and rated. So
I'm really excited about the panel. I think it's going to be.
I think it'll be great too.
An exciting way to kind of push these projects.
I'm looking forward to seeing what we get submitted, because there are a lot of interesting ideas out there that we see all the time.
So how much funding can a project receive?
So this funding program is targeted towards earlier stage development. So we're looking at projects that are around, the matching amount is $50,000. So the whole project would be expected to spend $100,000, and we put up $50,000. Those would be the smaller, probably ideal for a proof of concept study that's going to prove the technology, important step on the technology's path forward to commercialization. Some of the larger applications might be asking for $500,000, and that would be $1 million total project. the fund would put up $500,000 of the dollars, and those might be further down the preclinical or later stage, very close to actually submitting ready for clinical trials.
Great. And so how will the funds actually be paid?
That's also, everyone wants to know how the money gets paid out. So this is a refundable support. So on a quarterly basis, the award winners, the people who've been awarded these grants and the support, they will submit the eligible claims, and we will, at CMIE and the Development Fund, review the eligible claims. And about 60 days after the claim has been submitted, pending some due diligence and review of the claim, you can expect a refund of basically half the expenses that were already spent. So this is a refundable grant, not a pre-funded grant, and that's very important. It's very important for you to find the matching funds.
So do you have to have matching funds already secured in order to apply for this program?
No, you don't have to have the matching funds. As a matter of fact, we believe that a lot of the people who apply and are actually awarded won't have the matching funds at the time that it is closed. But what we will provide to you is a letter stating that you have received this award and that CMIE DF is prepared to fund this program going forward, so that you could take that letter to another funding agency and say, I have this support for half the project. Will you put forward the other half of the project? And generically speaking, we'll give you 6 months to find that support. We think 6 months is appropriate. We can't let it go too much longer because this is really only a 2-year program, so we have to get the projects up and running as soon as possible. Obviously, because this is a refundable program, you won't be able to receive the refund until the monies are spent.
And so it really is important for people to finish their projects by March 31st, 2026.
Yes, the last acceptable date for any claim will be March 31st, 2026. Any work done after that or monies expended after that date will not be eligible for refund.
So in what important ways is this different?
The most important way that this is different is that the program really has to be focused on the commercialization of some technology or the commercialization of some program or project. So we need to have a good understanding, and the people who apply have to be able to explain how this program is going to be commercialized and what the commercialization product will be at the end of the day. This is not a grant for research and where you don't know what the answer is. This is one where you're progressing down the line towards final commercialization.
And I think you're also going to have to see a project plan where this reimbursement model can work.
Exactly.
So you have to be able to expend the money and then claim a refund after. So that might help some folks to remember that as you prepare your application and proposal.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
So when do projects need to be totally complete?
Well, the projects can go longer, but we can't fund anything for any work done after March 31st, 2026.
Does the work have to be in Canada?
This is a Canadian government grant and Canadian government support. Having said that, 10% of the refundable costs can be done for work outside of Canada. We recognize that some of this work is very specialized, and that specialization may not be available in Canada. But still, we need to see 90% of the work planned to be done in Canada.
And the applicants themselves, how important is it for the applicants to be Canadian?
Again, this is a Canadian-funded program. This SME or the collaboration partner, the main collaboration partner, needs to be a Canadian. However, having said that, should there be a partnership with a foreign entity, that can also be considered. But again, 90% of the work needs to be done here in Canada. But we encourage, if the matching funds come from outside of Canada, that is fine too.
Investment into Canadian technology development is always...
It's always welcome.
Yeah, always welcome. And maybe we should talk a little bit about what sources of funds are acceptable for matching.
Right in line with that. So fundamentally, it's a broad spectrum of funding, matching funds that are available. The only restriction really is that this is a federally funded program, and so other federal funding cannot be used as a match. Provincial funding can be used as a match, other institutions, and also as we mentioned before, if the funding comes from foreign sources as well, that is fine as well. But it cannot be, we cannot match other federal agencies.
And I think hopefully this opens the door for people to achieve funding through angel investors, through early stage venture investors, seed investors, foundations or charities.
Yes,
We're
those are
getting more involved in funding technology development. So I think, we're hoping that people are going to really bring some creative financing ideas. We're trying to make this as helpful a program as possible and trying to remove unnecessary barriers. So a non-federal match is key, but please, we're willing to consider a broad spectrum of non-federal matching funds.
And even other industry players like the CPDC might be interested in certain programs as well.
Yes, so definitely come talk to Triumph Innovations and CPDC as well if you've got some ideas.
Exactly.
And then I guess the other thing that I would point out for matching funds are I'll just move on to the next question. So what kinds of expenses are eligible?
Sure. Sure. Most direct labor, equipment costs directly tied to the program, consulting costs tied directly to the program, contract research, certain travel and consumables are typically considered eligible costs. On our website at the time of the at the time of the launch on December 15th, we'll have a document that describes more fully the types of expenses that are eligible for refundable claims.
Now, many funding programs have strings attached. So our program, what are we asking for, IP rights or commercialization rights to project IP?
So first off, it's very important in this program that people are aware that we're trying to commercialize. Again, can't stress the commercialization angle enough. And a large part of the program of commercialization is to make sure that you retain and have a plan for retaining the intellectual property. We are not asking for any strings to the intellectual property. We are here to help support you create intellectual property for your commercialization efforts. It's not IP that we're going to put any strings towards.
And I think we've all experienced people that have rights and that
and had to negotiate and chase people down. Yes, we've all been down that path.
So I think we're really wanting to make sure that this fund is enabling people and not creating additional challenges for people. So please give us some feedback, but I think that's our intent, and we'll try to make it a reality as we move forward with the program. What about funding for follow-on projects? So what if they're successful with a project?
If someone is successful in year one and then applies back in year two, that would be fantastic. As far as we're concerned, that's a view of success. That means that program has been well constructed. They've shown that they can achieve their goals. They've moved the program forward. If you might have applied for $100,000 or $200,000 in the first call for proposals, and then you come back for asking for $500,000 to go to the next step, I think those are the kinds of opportunities that we'd be very excited about. That shows growth, that shows progression, and it shows we're moving down that the management team and the team behind this has the ability to execute. So we highly encourage, and we're very hopeful that will occur. And that's one of the reasons why we're trying to get it out so soon, so that people will have the chance to do funding this year and come back and do funding the following year. We want to turn this around as quickly as possible.
So I think that was the questions that we had thought would be the typical ones. I think we do have some questions from online.
Yep. Okay, so the first question online is, what does CMIE-DF stand for?
The Canadian Medical Isotope Ecosystem Development Fund.
That's why CMIE-DF is much easier to say.
Okay, the second question is, will unconventional radionuclides, either their production or their use, be considered under this funding program?
Absolutely. We're
Absolutely.
really interested in innovation and the things that are not the same old, same old. So, but for sure, as Oana said, we're really trying to chart a path toward commercialization.
Yes.
So, it has to be something that is progressing that isotope technology toward commercialization. If it really is a basic discovery research project, it's unlikely to score high.
Yes.
Okay. Next is, would initiatives focusing on strengthening supply of short-lived isotopes like fluorine-18 to isolated urban centers be eligible for the fund?
And again, very similar to the last question that was answered. The short answer is yes, but the longer answer is we need to see how that is actually commercialized and not just as an overall research program. Having said that, these are things that are challenges that as an industry we've been looking at. And so if people with solutions to that, we're very eager to understand and look at, because there's a demand for that. And so solutions that are applicable and commercializable would be looked at quite fondly.
So I think solutions where you're creating a new method, new intellectual property, a new technology that is going to deliver isotopes, existing isotopes in a better, faster, cheaper way. Those are interesting, I think. But I think if you're just like, oh, I need to buy a cyclotron so I can make some FTG, I don't think that that's really a compelling innovation and commercialization story.
And if you can get a cyclotron for $50,000, then
Yeah.
I'd be very interested in hearing that.
Okay. The next question is, can a company apply and then use their own funds to match?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be, that is an ideal situation for existing companies to use their own funds. That is absolutely an ideal situation.
Assuming your own funds didn't come from the federal government.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is a little more specific. So in light of sorry, I have to look up the acronym here, the Central European Free Trade Agreement, would funding from the EU still be acceptable for European applicants to be eligible as their match funding?
If it's we would have to take a look at that. That's a very specific request that off the top of my head I can't answer. But
in general, we are looking for non-Canadian federal matching funds. So if you have CIHR money or NSERC money or ISED money, no. But I think if you we need to know more details. But if it was EU money, I think that would
I think if it, and then the work was done in Canada for Canadian, so yeah, so.
Okay. And then I think that answers our next question. It's about if NRC and IRAP funding is eligible as well.
No, NRC is federal government funding, IRAP funding is federal government funding, NSERC is federal government funding, CIHRs. Like I think these are really important sources of funding for many technology development projects. However, part of what we're trying to do is push things along to commercialization, which really involves a bit of validation from a non-government source. So we're hoping that we're gathering kind of believers in that technology outside of the government-funded system.
Okay. The next question is, would funding be available for project developments focusing on enabling the production of isotopes through dose saving for workers? So minimizing dose to the workers.
Interesting question. I mean,
we have to see how that gets commercialized and how people pass to actually commercialize it. But I would definitely encourage that group to put in a submission and think very long and hard about how that gets commercialized, that idea.
Okay. Right. The next question, are there any plans nationally to address the royalties that the patent/DIN holders are wanting to charge for commercialization and use to keep costs down?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yes.
Hi.
Are there any plans nationally to address the royalties that the patent/DIN holders are wanting to charge for commercialization and use to keep costs down?
So that would fall out of the scope, outside of the scope of this kind of project. Patent rights, et cetera, are negotiated, and rights to other people's technology are always negotiated. And that's not something that we can. That's outside of the scope of this program.
Okay. The next one, is there a maximum number of partners that can be involved in a single project?
We've never considered any restriction towards that.
I don't think so.
And I think, in fact, a good number of partners involved in it could well be a significant plus to it. If you're bringing in technology from different areas, could show capability to extend and commercialize this and take this further down the path. So I think that would, depending on the actual details, could be quite a positive.
Okay.
One of the main aims of the CMIE is to really encourage and facilitate collaborations. So if you have a really strong collaboration that includes a lot of the major stakeholders in that particular sub area of what you're working on, I think that's a great story. It's having no partners or something that's just a solo project will likely not be scored as high. I think part of what we're doing is trying to build collaborations and for technology development.
Yeah. And if you take a look at some of the our initial programs and projects, BWXT and Triumph were involved in one. The Son Nation and Bruce Power were involved in one. We were involved with McMaster in ours. So there's been collaborations all the way through. So generally, that would, I would think that generically that would be looked upon favorably.
So I think the complicating factor is the timelines are quite short.
Yeah.
So if you can, realistically pull together a multi-party consortium and submit your application and do the presentations successfully within a short time frame, that's great. It probably shows that you're an excellent project manager.
I was going to say that shows you're a good collaborator. Yeah. That's why we're doing it in such a short timeline.
Yes.
That was why, yes.
Okay, and then, not the final question, one more just came in. Will the evaluation criteria to rank projects be made public?
Yes, it is our intention that will also be announced. The overall criteria will be announced on December 15th and will be available on our website as well.
Okay, and then the final question is, you mentioned potential funding for networking events. Will funding be made available for programs looking to develop ecosystems or regional networks? Or is this just a technology-specific fund? Will there be future streams of funding for different priorities?
I think we're still really kind of developing this part. So I think that's really an important part of the outreach this is sort of the first step. Yeah. So we would love to hear from people different ideas about different kinds of events. But just keep in mind, we're the Canadian medical isotope ecosystem. So we're really trying to foster medical isotope based collaborations, commercialization, technology development, intellectual property development. So if it's furthering those types of things, and it aligns well with what we're doing, we would love to hear people's ideas.
Yeah, what I was going to suggest, I'm not sure this development fund would be the source for that monies because of the commercialization focus. $5 million may sound like a lot of money, but in fact, in medical development, it's not. It's a 2-year program, et cetera. Having said that, the CMIE is developing, as Catherine said, an ecosystem. And, please join us if you have those ideas, because we are looking at other outreach. We are looking at other conferences. We are talking about, other symposia, et cetera. And so that, we encourage you to join the ecosystem and share those ideas, because that is part of our overall mandate outside of the development fund.
Yeah, if you have an idea for a workshop, a symposium, a networking event, a collaboration event, virtual or in person, we would love to hear it.
Yeah, and maybe this is something that we can do together.
Okay, there's just a few more that have rolled in.
Oh, we started the snowball. We should have quit while we were ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay, the next one is, would new technologies focused on cost saving for improving access to low resource settings be appropriate, given the commercial value may be low, but the moral value is high?
Again, I understand the question because this is something that, at CPDC is near and dear to our heart, and it's a project we've been working on ourselves. At some point we have to just face the facts that this fund cannot do all things for all people, and that from this fund itself, it's more focused on the commercialization. However, if there are ideas about how to do that, I would love to hear from them personally from the CPDC side, because this is something that we've been working with groups across Canada to try and figure out and how to solve that problem. As a nonprofit, we are looking at it slightly different than the commercialization that we're having out of the development fund.
Because I do think we're not just funding. Part of it, what we're trying to do is build networks, build stronger connections between different groups. And so I think, if that's something that we want to collectively work on, like, can we arrange a meeting? There's other things that we can do, but the funding that really is meant to accelerate and commercialization of technologies. But I think that there are other things that we can work on together as a medical isotope community.
Absolutely. Okay, and will there be future information sessions for applicants?
Yes, as a matter of fact, we view this as a evolving process. So one of the things, our first close is going to take place, as we mentioned, the final close and the commitment letters by March 31st. We expect to have our second close during the during the calendar 2024 year, and I'm sure we'll make improvements to the system. There are certain other things that we may find ourselves that most of the applicants were in one area and we want to encourage people to go into a different area. So this will be a ongoing process, and we hope to make it better and easier for everyone each time.
Again, if you've got ideas, please contact us at info@cmie.ca, and we'd be happy to hear them and discuss them with you.
Okay, still have questions rolling in.
Oh, okay.
So the next one is...
He looks at his watch. Okay.
You mentioned therapies, so that would include clinical theranostics programs from an isotopes perspective?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Send those ones in.
Okay, and then how can interested people in the industry beyond applicants get involved and follow developments of the CMIE?
Oh, well, you should definitely go to the website and sign up to be on the email list. We will be doing outreach, so please reach out to us. I think we would love to connect with different groups and organizations, so we're not doing just a series of, 100 one-on-one meetings. So if you are part of an organization, we would love to talk to you. And then I think, but really we're trying to make sure that the website is a real hub for connection, where people can go there and find the latest information. People can go there and see the events that are underway and how they can participate. We're really here to kind of support the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very encouraged by we've had a couple questions that are similar along this vein, and that's fantastic because this is supposed to be an ecosystem that continues on and grows. And so, yeah, again, as Catherine said, the focal point and the best place to go first is going to be the website. We're going to try and make that a living document so that it'll be useful. But also, as the co-leads, please don't spam me every 5 minutes, but we are very interested in this. It's part of our role as the co-leads of the CMIE to be available for people to reach out and see what we can do and see how we can develop this.
We're really here to support and leverage existing organizations, associations. So, let us know how we can help you.
Okay, and what looks like might be the final question. Will this webinar be posted for future reference, and where can we access it?
Depends how I look in the pictures, and then I may or may not post it after. But if I don't look too goofy, then I'll say that, yeah, it can be posted on the website.
Yeah. As usual, go to the website, and it'll take us a bit to kind of get the final recording on there, but that is where will be the source of all of the information for us.
So.
Okay, and one more. What stage does the project need to be at? If the design has not started, is that considered too early?
So the short answer is early is generally good. And some of this might be that, that if it's at a very early stage, that's what the 50,000, that's why we're telling people, we'll do $50,000, because that might be the right first step in the commercialization and starting the commercialization program. What we're looking for in this is you're not, $50,000, $500,000 is not going to get us a therapy, a diagnostic, a new technique, a new piece of equipment in 1-2 year period. This is getting you the first couple steps along that path. But you need to be able to explain very clearly what you believe that path is and what's at the end of the path. If anyone else has been in biotech or anything for any period of time, we all know that path moves. But you got to pick a path to start, or else, it's the old thing, if you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up anywhere. You have to have a goal first and head off in that direction.
And we are trying to have a pretty quick cycle time. I think we've all worked in situations where you spend months writing a grant, you submit the grant, you got to wait months for the grant to be reviewed. And then, so if we can speed that process along, or we can incent or bring other funds to the table so that you can start in a few months instead of in 2 years, I mean, that, I think we will call it a success.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that we're really focused on is how do we make the funding situation better, especially for early stage projects where you're not trying to find time to eke out another grant application that maybe in 18 months might provide you funding for half a grad student. I think we really want to be more impactful and more timely to kind of really push these things along.
And I completely agree. But just going back to the very specific question that was asked there about someone looking at a very early stage that's the ideal candidate possibly for a small first application with the goal of saying, okay, we're going to come back in a year for your second or third call for $200,000 at a time. And maybe in that period of time, you were able to, get a good proof of concept, show that you can bring a team together, show that you can conduct some of the work. You'll also have learned a lot. I guarantee you'll have learned a little bit more about the market that's out there. People will start talking. You'll find out who's talking to you about this as you start moving it forward. And hopefully we can get some excitement behind your project.
Okay. And then, can one individual submit 2 or more applications for different programs?
Yes, is the short answer. We can't say that we're going to fund. We'll rate each one independently, and it has to stand on its own.
Okay. And just to reiterate, 500,000 is the max for a single individual project.
Yes, in the first call.
And certainly, if you have a concept for a project that is, say, a $1 million project, if you can break it into stages where there's a stage that is under $500,000, you hit some sort of milestone, and then you've got the second stage. I think that's like a go, no-go milestone that would lead into a follow-on. I think please present your idea. We'd love to hear it.
And remember, if you're asking for $500,000, that means that the whole project is $1 million, because we're only, this fund will fund half that cost. So that's a good sized project.
Okay. Does preliminary imaging data facilitate the application?
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty clear.
That's data is always help. Data is everything. We want to see data. We don't want to just have theoretical ideas.
And we're hoping that this approach of like a VC pitch style application is really going to help people winnow down to what's really key and the key piece of data. Like a lot of pitch decks have 1 or 2 very key data slides. And so we're hoping to kind of encourage people that that's sort of what we want to see. We don't want to see tons and tons of data that is, hard to parse. It's just like, please imagine that you're doing a 15-minute pitch for an investor. And I think, for many people, it's a great discipline because, if you're at this stage, you're probably trying to talk to investors.
Yeah.
So using this kind of format, I think, will be hopefully beneficial in a multiple ways.
Nothing would make us happier than you put together the short pitch. We get back to you in January and tell you that we want you to participate. And you said, well, I actually took that pitch and gave it off to a VC and they gave me $1 million, so I don't need your money anymore.
Yeah, that would also,
That would
I would
make
count
us-
that as a win.
That would count.
All right.
All right.
It looks like that was the last question.
Okay, so 15 minutes early.
Well, thank you. We'll let everyone go back on that. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Thank you, everyone who attended and listened in. Please come back to our website, sign on to the website so we can reach out to you. Again, on December, for those who are looking to participate in our first call, it will be a hard stop on January 31st. Don't submit it February 1st. It's January 31st. Because we're going to start calling things from there and going through from that. So we will have the information. We will try and address some of the questions that were asked here today in what we put together, and we'll go forward from there. But we look forward to the great ideas that are out there. So
Great, and a big thank you to everyone that dialed in today, and thanks to
Thank you,
my
Catherine.
great co-lead.
cheers. Thank you all.